What up, world? What up, world? Welcome to 35KY Sports. It's your guy, Murph.
It's your boy, Al.
Man, we back at it again. Hey, we in a crazy part of the year right now. NBA is ramping up. You got the All-Star break about to go down over the weekend. It's just a great time for NBA basketball, Al, man.
Yeah, man. You got football's over with. NBA and college basketball are getting ready to take full stage. After March Madness, we get the stretch run for the NBA season. So the dog days, the winter will be over with, and the sun will shine, and we're going to have playoff basketball here soon, man. Very few games left in the season for teams to get it together.
Yes, sir. Now, if you are familiar with the show, these two gentlemen that we got in studio with us, which is a blessing that we usually have them on the phone, but we got them here live in the flesh with us tonight. Man, we appreciate them coming through. Who we got in the studio tonight?
Man, we welcome very special guests. They are friends of the show. We welcome Jacob Lane from Cardinal Connect. Welcome to the 35KY Sports Show. Thanks for coming in with us. And we welcome Shane Young of Bballbreakdown, our NBA aficionado. And we thank him as well for coming in and being in the building with us. Welcome on, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me in.
Oh yeah, always fun to join the 35KY staff.
Yes, sir, man. So, what? First of all, since we got you in studio, just kind of break down for our listeners what you guys cover and your publications of what you guys represent.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll go first, Jacob. So I basically cover all things NBA ever since pretty much 2015, late 2014. I really like to specialize in actual encore breakdowns, what's going on. I kind of put all the theatrics and all the drama on the back burner, but I do love that stuff as well. Obviously, with the trade deadline, that for those 2 hours the other day, it brought a lot of crazy stuff. So, but yeah, at Bballbreakdown and FanRag Sports, I just write columns and post breakdowns of on-court stuff that any team, any player's doing that I see is interesting.
Oh no, you Jacob?
First of all, I work for the Cardinal Connect, which covers everything Louisville here in town. And then just recently, started doing something that I've been pursuing for a few years now and super passionate about, writing for an NBA website called 8 Points, 9 Seconds that covers the Indiana Pacers. Growing up in Louisville, that's the closest team, man. So I've been going up there 4 or 5 times a year. I've had some of the greatest memories up in that building, and so it's a blessing to be able to write for the website.
Any Reggie Miller memories?
You know what? I not really. When he was in his prime, I was a baby. I can remember. I think it was 2000 when they played the Lakers in the finals.
Oh yeah.
And I can remember him, man. Just besides Steph, now the best shooter I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Speaking of Reggie, this is some throwback stuff right here, but the other day they were replaying the Brawl in the Palace, and did you see Reggie Miller in a suit? He had the biggest suit in the world on that day, trying to hold back. I think he might have had Ron Artest on the court that night, but when you brought up Reggie's name, that just made me think of him.
I remember him having that big ass suit on, man. Like the clothes have definitely changed in the NBA, man. Everybody used to wear them big, these baggy, just like zoot suits, like back in the day, man.
The only person still wearing them is MJ.
That's it. The MJ dad jeans.
Yeah. As rich as Mike is, he can't buy
still wears
swag.
those ugly ass jeans.
He refuses to put on skinny jeans.
Come on, Mike. Mike's always acting like a crazy kind of style, even when he was playing back in the day, man.
Speaking of Malice in the Palace, before you move on, I gotta ask you all to remember this. Do you remember that elbow punch, the slide in from Jermaine O'Neal?
Yes,
I've never seen it in my life, man.
Right in front of the side.
Oh my gosh, man. That is the best punch I've ever seen in my entire life.
Just think if he didn't slide like that would.
That dude probably would have died.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. He would got paid too.
He's probably got some money still.
Yeah.
They probably paid off all type of settlements.
Yeah, that's crazy. The NBA, but the NBA has changed. Since we're talking about it, do you think the culture of the NBA is it soft? Do we need to get back to more aggressive basketball?
I mean, I would have to say yes. A lot of these guys. Specifically, I'll go to LeBron. I mean, I know he gets beat up like crazy, man, but just every call, they're complaining for fouls. I've never seen anything like it, and I don't think it's like that in the college level. But I love, personally, this season, how many fights there's been. I
that
love
brings
the
it
Aaron
back,
Aflalo
though.
fight where
man.
Lisa just put him in a headlock. And then there's been a couple others. Of course, I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Houston, LA with the locker room storming.
Yeah. I mean,
that was nuts.
that's the NBA I grew up on. And that's what I'm trying to see it go back to.
Yeah, I think that I love the new age pace and space style a lot more than I do the bully ball stuff. But like, I think refs have to do a better job of whenever the game is getting intense and feisty and chippy. They have to realize the feel for the game. They can't be, calling ticky-tack stuff like college. That's, there's so many fouls. You can't get through the whole game in less than like 2.5 hours. It's crazy. So I think that whenever a game in the playoffs is that close and that intense and that hyped up, you really have to let a lot of stuff go that you wouldn't normally do on a November or December game. So.
And part of it is the culture around basketball. It's kind of changed a little bit with how big the grassroots scene is. These kids are more prepared for the NBA when they get there. Most of them have been groomed for this since they're like 12 years old. So when they get there, they're a lot more, professional. They understand the business side of things. And a lot less stories of, I know some of them come from rougher background, but not as many just like straight up just hood street dudes in the league that just made it drinking Hennessy before the game and stuff like that. You don't really have those stories anymore.
So let's break down this conversation, man, and talk about the big story in the NBA. The trade deadline just ended last week, and the Cavs, man, just pretty much LeBron got rid of everybody. Everybody, Amon Shumpert, Jay Crowder,
80% of the roster, man.
Man,
They flipped it.
Cancerous IT.
Hey, let's
I'm done, man. I'm so done with Isaiah.
So what initially what did y'all think about the moves that the Cavs made? Do you think it was needed? What's you all's just initial thoughts of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I knew going into it they had to get rid of Isaiah Thomas, man. You could tell just instantly as soon as he was healthy and he got back, he did not fit on that team. That was already a bad defensive team. You had a guy like him who can't stay in front of anybody. And I'm not a fan of short guards. I never have been. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in this league. Even though the dude can score. He's crafty. We saw that last year. But for me, I knew that once he called out Kevin Love, that was when his time was over, man. But as far as the moves, I thought that they did a great job. Colby Altman, man, for being a first-year GM, you would never know it. Being able to pull deals like that and acquire talent like George Hill, which I think that's a really good move, being able to acquire a veteran defensive guard who's going to bring something that the Cavs don't have. Getting some young scorers and Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, those guys, even if LeBron leaves, they're able to start kind of a rebuild with them. And then adding in like a Larry Nance, the team gets more athletic, gives them some power off the bench. I loved it. I thought that they did a great job. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going back to the finals, but I think they did a great job.
Yeah, just touching on that, I think that they did the best thing they could possibly do, while that also enabled them to stay relevant if LeBron walks out that door in like 4 months.
Yeah.
Which I know we talked off the air about how he probably should stay in Cleveland. I agree. I think he should, but I think that there's a non-zero chance that he goes somewhere else. I think that that's a good possibility. So, and the thing is, Rodney Hood's a restricted free agent this summer. They have the option to sign him to whatever they want or whatever he wants. He'll go sign an offer sheet somewhere else, and they'll have 3 days to match. So I think that they could bring him in if LeBron leaves, and that could be their guy for a couple of years until they draft it. They also have that Brooklyn pick, so keeping that was amazing. If they would have got rid of that and got in these guys, I don't think I would have liked it, but keeping that pick for another additional asset was great. And my favorite pickup was probably Rodney Hood, because he is a 40% shooter on catch and shoot situations, and he is the only guy that is capable of guarding multiple positions out of the guys that they got. So I kind of like that addition. I'm not too big on Jordan Clarkson. I grew up a big Lakers guy, so I've seen him and I like him, what he does for an off the bench role, but I'm not sure he can do what he's been doing this year in the playoffs. He's never been in the playoffs. I'm not sure if he can be able to do that whenever the rotations get shrunk, and then whenever his minutes are going to have to be valuable. So
I'm with you guys on it. I like the move. It was a good move. The GM He was under the gun. He was under a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And he had to do something. What he was going to do, I'm not sure he knew. They had been floated around with rumors with DeAndre Jordan, all type of stuff. But, I mean, the smartest thing he did, he had to change the energy in that locker room. It was just getting too toxic and negative. So, bringing in some young guys who will look up to LeBron, are excited to play with him, and just getting some different energy in that locker room can do a world. I mean, we saw it on Sunday, even though it was just the first game, and Boston had a lot going on, emotion and stuff with Paul Pierce's jersey being retired. It was still, you saw the effects of having just some guys who wanted to play for each other.
Right.
My favorite pickup of the move, I'll go with Larry Nance, just because they didn't have any other body types like that on their roster outside of Tristan Thompson, which he's not as springy as him. So getting a big guy who can run the floor and LeBron can throw it up too. You get to see some of LeBron's passing ability, which is real special as well.
And Nance automatically becomes like their second best defender on the team, or third. I mean, it's crazy.
Little baby rim protection, not much of a shot blocker, but one worry is you don't have it. You got rid of all your playoff experience.
Yeah.
Four guys on the championship roster: Jr., LeBron, Tristan, Love.
Yeah.
4 guys.
You got rid of all your playoff experience, and then as well, when I look at the trade, I wish they could have made these moves back in July, so these young guys could have got to adjust and assimilate into the team. You got 25 games left.
Yeah, 25. They got 25.
So very short, limited time. I know a lot of people be look at Boston's game, the game with Boston, and be like, well, they beat Boston. Well, also there's no film on this team that's playing together either now.
A funny thing about that, I was talking to Jacob online. Like everyone was freaking out about that game. Not every game the role players are going to shoot 50% from 3. Like they were just hot. That happens. Like tonight, like San Antonio could get blasted by 30 because Denver gets hot. I mean, it just happens around the league, and I think that the next couple weeks will be more indicative of what the Cavs will be. Not that one game in Boston, which the Celtics were struggling for the last couple weeks. One thing, Al, Murph, anything that something I was wanting to ask you about. What do y'all think about the fact that Dwayne Wade was reportedly a big problem, probably the biggest problem in the locker room?
Wow.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Not surprised, just because I'm a Rondo fan, and those were actually were the talks. If you remember Rondo going and blasting the vets last year, that's what it was about. It was about Wade and somewhat Jimmy Butler, but mainly I think it was directed at Dwayne Wade and his interaction with the young guys and not really practicing. So, and then when you look at the relationship with him and LeBron, it was putting a real divide. You could tell it was putting a real divide in that locker room.
What do y'all think about Wade returning home to Wade County, Miami Beach? When he left, it was on horrible terms. Him and Pat Riley and Spo. It was really rocky, but the boys are back again. What do y'all think about Wade County?
I mean, the biggest thing is going to be, like you said last year with Chicago, just absolutely tearing their young guys apart. Probably similar problems in Cleveland, getting on them. I mean, if you go back and you do the same thing there, that team is going to self-destruct. They're not set up with the leadership that you would need as far as going inside of that team. But if he can go back there and embrace that mentor role, be there for guys like Goran Dragic, be there for guys like Bam Adebayo, Hassan Whiteside, Tyler Johnson. I think that I think that they can get a lot better. I mean, Dwayne Wade's, I know he's old, I know he's not what he once was, but the man can still ball.
Yeah, he still got something in the tank.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I think they get better as long as he's got the right attitude, and I think they can make some noise in the playoffs with the right matchup.
Yeah, what's crazy is that 2 weeks ago they were playing the Cavs, and the winner that the Heat were playing the Cavs. The winner of that game got the 3rd seed. The Cavs won, but now the Heat went from 4 to 8, and they're on the verge of not being even 8 because Detroit got Blake Griffin. I think that they're going to hit a few strides in the next month or so, and they're only 2 games back from Miami. Miami's losing tonight to Toronto. I like the Dwayne Wade return just because it was for free. They got a 2nd round pick. I mean, you do that 8 times out of the
right.
You do that all the time. So I think that that was great, but like Dwayne Wade, I think my biggest problem with him is that he says all the right things, but I think that his ego will still get in the way sometimes. I think he wants to be on the court to finish games, and if you're Expulstra, you have to roll out like Goran Dragic, Wayne Ellington, Josh Richardson, all those better guards that have fresher legs than someone like Dwayne Wade who A, can't shoot, and B, is coming off like 3 or 4 knee surgeries at 36. So If he's okay with not finishing games, if he's okay with playing 20 minutes a game, then that's fine.
And you brought up another big trade. It was actually ended up being the blockbuster of the trade deadline. It came a week early, but Blake Griffin to Detroit basketball. They back. I didn't even realize they had a new arena.
Me either. You know why?
Because no one knows.
I was just saying, the people in Detroit didn't know either.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had a new arena. They weren't playing in the Palace anymore, but nonetheless, we heard they had a slight attendance problem before that, and they had to bring in a superstar.
I bashed the trade at first because I thought that, I know Blake Griffin is going to make $38 million, $39 million in his 4th and 5th years of that contract. I don't like that for whenever that's the case. But for right now, you cannot get another guy of Blake Griffin's caliber on that Pistons team unless you trade for him. So, I mean, and Stan Van Gundy saw that, and he saved his job because he was going to be fired at the end of this year if they do not make playoffs. And they're not even in right now. But I think Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond will get them there. Reggie Jackson hasn't played yet in the last 2 or 3 months. So I like that they did it when I went back and reflected on it. But still, in that 4th or 5th year, if that's your core, Reggie Jackson on a $18 million deal, Andre Drummond at $25 million, and Blake Griffin at $38, I don't like it then.
No, not at all. That's not worth that money. That's not worth it.
That's when you get into one of those teams that has to hit on those mid-level first-round picks. You got to find a Jimmy Butler in the middle of that draft if you're gonna excel. But when I saw that trade, the way I took it was Stan Van Gundy telling Doc Rivers, "I'm a better coach than you." I mean, the teams are almost exactly the same. I mean, they're built, not too far apart. DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond. I know Drummond's a lot younger. Not a whole lot of difference in their offensive game. That's essentially him saying, hey, let me take the guy that is on your team that's not really doing a whole lot. Your guys aren't really that good. Let's put him on our team, and we're not going to be that good either.
Right. Man,
But Detroit got themselves into that issue because of bad drafting over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They put a graph up and showed their last 5 first-round picks, and I mean they've been mid first-round picks, but they've had a chance and passed on some guys. Could have got Devin Booker, could have got Donovan Mitchell. So they've passed on some guys, and what you ended up with on the other side wasn't very great.
I do like Tobias Harris. I don't know. It's something about
we got him in a trade from Orlando, I believe, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
They didn't draft him.
And they got rid of him, too. It's like, man.
I always like
the draft picks were Caldwell Pope,
Stanley
Johnson,
Luke Kennard.
Yeah, Henry Ellison, Luke Kennard. These picks right here are what have Detroit basketball where they are.
And what's it say, Al, about Avery Bradley's value, that he's been traded twice in the matter of 8 months? He is someone that I would not want to go one-on-one against in the last minute of a playoff game, but I think his defense is overrated to the extent that everyone thinks he's this Kawhi Leonard type guy, and he doesn't have value right now.
He's a role player. Is what he is. And that what I'll say is Danny Ainge, when he picked the guys to ship out of Boston last year, which you knew it was going to come once IT got injured in that playoff series. The writing was on the wall. They would have been swept by Chicago.
Yeah.
So the writing was on the wall. If Rondo doesn't break his thumb, they get swept. So the writing was on the wall, and it was just real interesting, the guards that he picked out and shipped out. Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley. I mean, part of it was contracts, but it let you know where they were standing. And he won. I mean, look at Rozier this year.
And I don't want to swing this, I'm not trying to swing this to Boston, but what does this say about Brad Stevens that Isaiah Thomas was an MVP candidate under Brad Stevens? Now he's not going to get a contract over $6 million next year. What does it say that Avery Bradley has been traded twice after having a great couple years with Brad? What's it say Jay Crowder is now just nothing? What's it say that Kelly Olynyk is in Miami doing nothing?
He got paid though. He's on the beach.
Yeah, Brad Stevens gets these guys paid except for IT, who wasn't a free agent yet. Anywhere else, they look like just kind of crap. They do.
Stevens is a mastermind. That's what this is showing. He is really, we all knew he was a good coach, but seeing how he's been able to use a superstar and Kyrie and put him in this offense and really just, the seamless way Kyrie has gone into this offense and Al Horford and him working together, and now the young guys emerging, man. I have got to take my hat off to Brad Stevens. I knew he was good, but he's really good.
What they did up there is special, man. I've never seen anything like that. To be able to build a competitive team with a bunch of young guys, have all those draft picks, all those assets. I mean, they still could ship out 2 or 3 more young players and get another All-NBA star.
And they have the Lakers pick if it falls between 2 and 5 this year.
Right.
So they could get a DeAndre, like someone like that's in the top 2 or 5 of the draft this year, which is going to be a superstar.
Right. And I'll say this is a low-key thing, but when Jay Crowder went to Cleveland, I really thought he was going to be a good player there.
I did too.
I thought he was going to be a Draymond Green kind of guy for them, being able to play that small ball 5 and go up against Golden State. But I mean, the dude did absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't
fell off
and,
the side of the building.
Something I've heard from some Cleveland beat writers is that he did not like playing with LeBron because because LeBron, I think you all can agree with this, he's the most unselfish superstar we've seen in a long time, but he is unselfish at his own expense. So he chooses when he wants to give the ball to this guy. If he doesn't want to give the ball to you, if you're missing shots, he ain't giving the ball to you. And Jay Crowder missed his first 23s of the year, it seemed like. He didn't give him the ball, and Jay Crowder's like, man, I can't get my percentage up if I get 2 shots out of 60 possessions. Right. So he didn't like playing with LeBron because they played the same spot.
And that's another thing I think people underestimate. It is not as easy as it looks playing with LeBron James. For one, he controls the ball. And I've always said one of the issues with LeBron, which I think as he ages in his career, LeBron needs to pick a position to play. I mean, positionless basketball is over. You're not in Miami anymore. Like, if you're going to want to run at the power forward, the small forward, get slotted there so they can adjust the roster around you. That's kind of one of the issues I see with him. And then as well, what he was talking about with Crowder, there was also talks where some guys were complaining, saying like LeBron was doing stat stuff this year. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, he would make sure his stat line still look good, so you can't blame me if we lose. I got 36 and 10.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm positive that a couple of Cavaliers players came out and said that LeBron was passing on purpose, passing the ball to pad his assists. Like I get it. Look, I would want to play with LeBron if I was an NBA player, but I also would not want to play with LeBron if I was an NBA player because there's so much drama that comes with playing with LeBron.
Pressure too.
There's only been one player in history to come out and say, I don't want to play with LeBron, and that guy was Kyrie, and that guy is thriving in Boston.
He looks like the smartest man in the room.
Imagine, he thought he saw the writing on the wall. He said, I'm getting out of here.
It was the smartest move for him because he took control of his own career. He did not want to let this, whatever was going to happen this year with LeBron and pending free agency, he wasn't getting ready to let that affect him. At all. And it was a smart move by Kyrie.
Man, one thing I want to ask you guys, especially Shane, he goes in is, what's going on with Isaiah Thomas? Like, what's going to happen to him in L.A.? He, as we all know, last year he was an MVP candidate, looking for a max deal, and it seems like his career is just tanking. Like, what's going on with IT, man?
I gotta say, I don't hate a player, but it's the closest thing to it because I don't understand how you have one anomaly year, one outlier year, only one good year in your career. The other ones are come off the bench, somewhat decent efficiency. But that last year in Boston, finished top 5 in MVP voting, and he comes out and says, back at the Brinks trucks, that I deserve to be paid a super max deal, which he would have been eligible because he got the All NBA team last year over Kyrie, which was funny enough. And then, the fact that he does that, goes to Cleveland and just barges in the locker room and says, look, I'm Isaiah Thomas. This is my team besides LeBron now. I'm going to be the second highest shooting guy on the team, and I'm going to take all the shots. He was the only player in history, I run this on Basketball Reference, the only player in history to have a usage over 30%, which means that's like LeBron level usage, right? Russell Westbrook level usage, 30. And his true shooting was under 48, and that's terrible. Because true shooting, you want to be around 53, 54, that's the league average. So, he was taking so many shots, and he just wasn't hitting anything. And the fact that a traffic cone could probably play better defense because they were giving up astronomical levels of scoring when he was on the floor. So, and then he goes to the Lakers, gets traded, and the first thing he does is his agent texts Ramona Shelburne and says, he is not coming off the bench in all caps. What gives you the right to do that? You've had one great year, and he wants to come out and make all these demands. So, I think it's just the attitude that rubs me the wrong way.
I think you said you don't hate him. I think you do, because you go hard on him on Twitter.
Kyrie, whenever he, number one, he doesn't come out and say that kind of stuff. And I'm not even a Kyrie guy. He just doesn't come out and talk like that. But even if he did, it's justified. He hit the biggest shot in finals history, other than Ray Allen. You know, like he has more deserving resume aspects than Isaiah does.
Jake, what you think about IT?
Look, what he did last year in the playoffs, I've got so much respect for playing through something so tragic to your family.
Most definitely.
But when it comes to on the floor, there's a reason he's been traded 5 times. I don't have a big opinion on him. He can be fun to watch. He can also be very frustrating to watch because of the ball sticks when he gets it. I mean, you're not getting that ball back when he's got it. And LA may be a good spot for him. I don't know. I don't know how that'll turn out. I think that he probably plays best with a passing guard rather than with another guard or another player like LeBron who needs the ball in his hands to succeed.
It would be fine if they didn't have KCP, because they could play him and Lonzo just for the hell of it, just to play them right next to each other, because they know they're not going to playoffs and they know that their defense ain't going to be that great anyway. So they could just play them together. But KCP's there making $20 million, so you got to start them.
Right, and I forget who said this, but one of the ESPN guys talked about him being bought out. I would have loved to have seen that.
Who would have picked him up?
I would have loved to see him go to Toronto. That would have been a great fit for him.
Come off the bench.
Man.
Right.
But his agent said he ain't coming over.
Right.
You gotta be a
That's the
little
problem.
more humble, man.
I know that, like I said, I know he's been through a lot, but he's got an image now that he's got to repair. He's got about a month and a half, 2 months to make his money.
His plight reminds me so much of another former Boston guard. How Rondo the year before everyone was talking about Rondo, a max deal, going to New York and all that when his last year in Boston before they traded him to Dallas. Yeah. And then to see where he went from that time where he got traded to Dallas, Carlisle kicked him out in the playoffs off the team. And it just from there, like how it's just been, like he said, he's probably been on himself 5 teams since then, like a journeyman. And your career earnings were, severely hit from that. And I kind of see the same thing happening for IT. Never really getting the big payday he wanted. And then when you look at his age, his ability, I mean, like you said, I'm not a big fan of dwarfs at the point guard spot, man.
I think the only one that's ever been, I don't think Chris Paul is even 6 foot, maybe 6 foot even, maybe, because I mean it's listed 6'1", 6 foot, but
he's a pure point.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He is probably the 3rd greatest point guard of all time, and it's like he's that little, but Isaiah is like 5'8" at best.
And then the intangibles that come with Paul, the leadership, it's a lot more. And then Isaiah Thomas, when you look at him, it's just he kind of looks like a me first kind of guy. That may be your issue.
Yeah, just for perspective, a deal that Isaiah could have landed after last year was $150 million for 5 years, the super max.
He will never see that money now.
So I hate this for him that he goes from that to, I'm gonna say mid-level. Mid-level is $7 million next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say he'd be lucky to get 10.
Man,
if he can get 10, he should.
I think what he's gonna do. I think he's gonna sign a 1+1 deal to where he can prove himself. Go to Orlando. They don't have a point guard now. Elfrid Payton's in Phoenix. Go there. Unless Orlando drafts a point guard, then you're screwed. So
Orlando gonna probably go after Trae Young.
I know that's the thing.
On the mocks, that's who they got.
The teams that need point guards are bad, so they're gonna get one in the draft. They don't need Isaiah. So
I thought an interesting spot for him. I just said because I knew he would be a free agent and a team that would need to do it just because they're limited in what we were talking about earlier. Detroit.
He's better than Reggie. I still think he's better than Reggie.
Yeah, a place where he could go get the balls up. It'd be a nice team around him to protect him. Because that's what he had in Boston. I mean, let's look at it now. Boston's, without him, switching up all the pieces, is still the 1-2 seed in the East. And the team was built around, not really you, but in essence, because you shot up all the balls, it was built around you at the time.
Right. Man, we've been talking about the Eastern Conference. Let's switch it over to the West a little bit. We got to talk about Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz. Jacob's got the honorary Spider Mitchell jersey on. I need that. I want to take it off of you. Man, I need that. What do y'all think about Donovan Mitchell's year, man? Like, did y'all see, especially you being a U of L fan, I mean, we are U of L fans in here, what did y'all expect for him to play at this level?
No, I don't think anybody. If anybody tells you that they did, they're lying.
Man, you know what?
They're trying to claim something.
I'm gonna say Luke Hancock today on the drive with Mark Ennis. He said that he expected it.
Oh, that's
I was like, come on now, Luke, man.
Before Jacob talks about it, I've told you this one day, is that Donovan Mitchell was in my class, my second to last semester of U of L, and I was just sitting there, and he was telling the class about how he's going to go in the draft, blah blah blah, and all that, or how he wants to. And I'm like, man, I'm just thinking, he ain't gonna be what he wants to be, and now look at him, So.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of draft coverage for 790 KRD leading up until him getting drafted, and the one thing we talked about was with his size being 6'3", he was gonna have to play the point guard position. He was gonna have to, or else he wasn't gonna be able to thrive in the NBA.
Yeah.
But we've seen him be able to play off the ball. I mean, he's got a really good distributing point guard. And I know Ricky Rubio's not what he was supposed to be, but playing off the ball, he's been incredible. And the guy that he reminds me of, I know not the shooting, but just the way he's able to get into the paint is Dwayne Wade. And that's the one guy I compared him to coming out of the draft. Because if you remember, U of L, dude couldn't shoot.
At all.
Now, when he got hot, though, it's a different story. Right. When Donovan got hot, it was a different story. But just the ability to be able to score at a high level that he's done, I think I saw this morning that he's the only rookie to have 2 40-point games in his first year. That's incredible. To have 26 games scoring 20 points or more, and to have that team in playoff contention after losing Gordon Hayward, after losing George Hill.
Yeah, that's
that.
Rudy Gobert's been out for 25 games.
Right. That in itself is powerful.
Man, I love it for the kid. And then it's, even though the irony of what's going on here with Louisville basketball, but just the fact that Rick tried to get him to come back to school.
It's crazy.
And look at the mess that would have been going on if he came back to school.
All the team,
all the team overall would have been doing a lot better. Well, you just never know how it would have affected him mentally too. But you look at that, and then now where he's at this time, right now, and he's just like, man, what a blessing it was for Donovan. And then on the court, it's been nothing but amazing. Just watching him, just some of the stuff he's doing out there on the floor. We all knew at Louisville that he had the athletic ability. But that 3-ball he's shooting, he's got so much confidence in that shot now. It's not funny. He's pulling from Steph Curry range some nights. And he's got a clip. And all the vets are showing him love.
Yes.
They're pulling him. I'm like, I've never, they pull LeBron, you name it, Russell Westbrook, everyone's pulling him to the side after games, giving him that talk like you next. So I'm like, wow, Utah got another one. They're gonna have to hold on to him.
And you can just tell his energy is infectious with his teammates. They love him and they love playing with him, and you can just see it after games. They dousing each other with water and doing all kinds of stuff. Now I have to ask y'all this: does he win Rookie of the Year?
I think he's pulling away now with Ben Simmons. Kind of his numbers, because Ben Simmons had the hotter start. I guess any other bigger name, Yeah. So Ben Simmons had the hottest start, but he's. His numbers have come down a little bit. Scout reports out on Ben. He can't shoot. It's some games where he's not even taking shots. So I feel like the way Donovan's playing, he leads rookies in 20-point games, 40-point games, 3-pointers. What else can he do? If he goes out there and wins the dunk contest or something, All-Star Weekend, I think you can go ahead and mail it to him.
Right. And for me, the big thing with Ben Simmons is coming into it that he had so much expectations that we've been trusting the process now for 3-4 years. He was the piece that they needed for that to finally start. And the way he's played, it's been sensational. I've never seen a rookie control the game like he does. Statistically, to have 5 triple-doubles as a rookie is incredible. But at the same time, to not have made a 3-pointer yet in the season just is mind-blowing.
Where the game is now, too.
Exactly.
That's right. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's crazy.
But personally, I think it's going to come down to, and this is, I could be completely wrong, but I think it's going to come down to which team makes the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever team is able to get into that playoff race and lock up likely an 8 seed, I think that's where you're going to see, because Utah had no shot at being in the playoffs. I think everybody would have told you this is a year where they're going to rebuild. Mm-hmm. For them to be here, I think a lot of that can be pinned on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders. I think that's worthy of the award. However, Ben Simmons has the bigger name. He's putting up sexier stats because everybody is obsessed with triple-doubles in the NBA. Yeah. And I think for that's going to push him over the edge if they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll say this from the media's perspective, because he's going to have Donovan's going to have a lot more eyes on him. At the All-Star, the dunk contest and stuff like that. I think he might win it just because he's getting a lot more attention now. Ben Simmons, unless you deliberately bring him up, he does not really do anything out there that's Donovan just hit the game tying shot the other night. Then his dunks are so much more electrifying.
Why is the lane parting like that when he comes down? That guy don't want to be on a poster.
He was trailing and dude.
Yeah. But
oh man.
But I'll be different. As of right now, February 13th, Ben Simmons is my rookie of the year. Because like the start was so good that I can't ignore the first 25% of the season, 30, 40% of the season. Because from October 17th to Christmas and January 1st, it was ridiculous. Giannis Antetokounmpo is shooting 75% at the rim. Ben Simmons, 21 years old, rookie, 73%. I mean, like, he is finishing at Giannis levels on lower attempts and stuff like that, and lower volume. But what gets me is that, like, I didn't know this until a couple weeks ago. You would think that Russell Westbrook leads the NBA in touches per game. You would think that Russell Westbrook leads in passes per game or something like that because he leads the league in assists and he has the ball in his hands all the time. Ben Simmons is number one in both. In the entire NBA, for a rookie, that responsibility.
Wow.
Because I know Donovan has a lot of responsibility carrying Utah to a 29-28 record. You would have to because they have no scorers. Rubio's not a scorer. Gobert's not a scorer. Favors, like, they don't have any scorers. So obviously Donovan has that responsibility too. But Ben, even with Embiid there, he has to get Embiid involved. He has to get Rocco, Robert Covington, his shots. Get Dario Saric his shots. JJ coming off curl screens. So I think that Ben has a lot of stuff that people aren't really talking about to his game. He's averaging like 17, 8, and 8. And I'm not there yet, but like if Donovan Mitchell comes out and they get like 5 games over 500, 5 or 6 over 500, they're 1 now. And if they get in like the 7th or 8th spot and he keeps on scoring 25 a game at this rate, yeah, I mean, he'll probably take it. But as of right now, I think Benny's got it.
He's on pace to average 20 a game right now. He's at 19.5 on the season. And I even think he kind of influenced the Rodney Hood move. His performance made them feel comfortable with letting go of Rodney Hood, I guess. And then, as you stated, he'll be a restricted free agent, so they already knew he was going to test the market. So.
That's why they got rid of him because man, I love smart GMs that make these moves because think about this. They have Gobert at a max. They have Rubio at a pretty good salary, a large salary. Donovan's going to be in 3 years. They're already thinking about Donovan's restricted free agency in 3 years because he's going to. I mean, he's going to. If he does this, it's a max.
Go get that
in
check
3 years,
man.
So the thing is, if you max Mitchell in 3 years, if you have Gobert at the max, and then depending on if you keep Rubio along or whatnot. You can't max Rodney Hood then. No. So they definitely had to get rid of him. So it was
a smart move.
Yeah.
Keeping it on the Western Conference, I want to get you guys' opinion on the Houston Rockets, man.
God, man.
They're having a great year. Got CP. Harden is cooking up. What do you think that they are true contenders to knock the Warriors out?
I do, yes. And if you would have told somebody a couple of years ago that Steve Kerr and Mike D'Antoni were going to be the 2 head coaches fighting I think somebody would have probably punched in the face.
They worked for Steve Kerr, employed Mike D'Antoni.
Right, and if I'm not mistaken, he fired him.
Yeah, he fired him.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, look, what they're doing it's incredible. And for me, the biggest thing is the adjustment that Harden has had to make moving off the ball. I mean, for him to still be playing as good, if not, I'd say probably better than he was last year.
Oh, yeah, most
bringing
definitely.
in one of the best point guards of all time to see what he's doing off the ball.
My favorite player ever. Chris Paul's my favorite player.
I'm not a big Chris Paul fan,
but
I love the way that they're moving the ball. I love the way that Clint Capella is getting involved, looking like he's an all-star type of center. Their bench isn't very deep, but you're getting quality things from each player, from PJ Tucker, Luke Mbamute. You're getting all these guys doing, like in Golden State, they're doing a specific thing for that team, and that's what I think it takes to win a championship is to have a couple of really, really good guys and then a bunch of guys who are good at one thing around them. But watching Harden and Chris Paul is like magic. I mean, it's amazing. I've only seen a couple of games from them this year, but the fact that Harden is not selfish just blows my mind because there for a while that's what he was labeled.
Yeah.
Was selfish.
Selfish and didn't play defense.
I'm a Lakers fan, but I've watched 45, 50 of the Warriors and Rockets games together because watching them play basketball separately it's exhilarating because they're equally as dominant, but they play 2 completely different styles. Houston takes 45 threes a game. Golden State's down to 29 this year. I would always argue that Golden State needs to be the one taking 40-something threes, but with Durant, obviously it's more cut and move action, it's more finishing at the rim, mid-range jumpers, but those two, this is going to be, because I think they're definitely going to be in the West Finals. Unless Oklahoma City has something to say about that. But I would really doubt it because beating Houston or Golden State 4 times in 2 weeks is pretty difficult. So I would say that they're equally as dominant, but just in different ways. And I think Houston, the only problem with them, I love what they did to bring the defense. Now they're top 12 defense this year, better than 18th last year. But with them, I think the biggest problem is if you go cold, is Chris Paul going to carry you? Because James Harden had a lot of bad games in the playoffs last year. 2 of 15 in Game 5 against
Especially that last one.
Yeah, it was terrible. He was like sick to his stomach. So I think that if their threes are missing, if Eric Gordon can't hit the right side of a barn, if Luke Bballbreakdown can't shoot from the corners or something like that, they're really going to have Chris or James really take over. It'd be interesting to see if that happens.
I'm rocking with them. I think the Warriors are more vulnerable than people want to admit this season. And I'm looking at Houston, the way they have loaded up. And I think they loaded up for that reason, for the playoffs last year. They saw James Harden fatigue because of everything he was carrying with that team, all the ball handling responsibilities, scoring as well, assisting. And I think with the additions they've made, additional firepower during the season pickups of Gerald Green, who picked him up off the streets. I mean, I just heard, I think they're getting Joe Johnson off waivers. I mean, they're loading up on firepower, so they don't have any cold streaks. That if somebody's not on, let's get somebody in. Joe is a sniper. I mean, he's a paid assassin. So when I look at that, the emergence of Clint Capella, there's been a lot of talk about him, but I mean, he's really growing as a player. With the way they're using him, his rim protection, and his confidence in his offensive skills.
He's already better than Dwight was for them.
Yeah. Oh my God. He was better the year after Dwight left.
Right. He doesn't need the ball.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to get you 15 points a game without you having to draw anything up for him.
Oh yeah.
So with Clint in the middle, and then I mean you look at the role players they've got, Nene, PJ Tucker, and these are kind of defensive-minded, tough guys. I mean, they're if they can stay healthy, because I mean, like last year they lost Nene in the playoffs. Harden got fatigued. It was obvious once that series went long that Harden didn't have anything left in the tank. And then we all know Chris Paul's injury bug. So, a lot of ifs. But if they could go into that Western Conference Finals healthy, possibly sneak up and get the number 1 seed so they have home court advantage, Golden State could be in trouble.
I wrote about this today, about the chance of getting the 1 seed. I thought that Houston might, because I think Golden State just doesn't care.
Right. Andre Iguodala coached the other night.
Exactly. We'll talk about that. The thing is, I was breaking down the schedule, and my belief that Houston could get the 1 seed died about 2 hours ago when I looked at the schedule, because they go on a 6-game West road trip, or I think it's 5-game West road trip coming up, and then when they return, they go to Boston. So, or Boston comes there and plays them. So it's a very tough schedule. You have to imagine they'll drop 2. I mean, every team when they go on these 6-game West road trips, they'll drop a couple. So I think that the schedule plays out in the Warriors' favor. What's going to be fun is that April 6th or April 8th or something, the last day of the season, Utah is the team that Golden State plays for the last game of the season. So if Utah is on the very edge of getting in, that's going to be fun to see Golden State, who might not care too much at the last game of the season, and Utah, who really needs to win that game. So I think the Warriors get the 1 seed, but what gets me is that from listening to a lot of reporters around the league, there's only one team in the West that the Warriors respect, and that's a healthy Spurs. That's the only team that they respect, and that's just because what they did last year in the Game 1 in the West Finals, beating them by 25, and then obviously the injury changing things. But I think they really need to start respecting Houston and a little bit of Oklahoma City, even though I don't think they'll match up with the Thunder because of the seeding. So,
seeding works, yeah.
Yeah, man, a lot to talk about in the NBA, man. We got Shane Young here from Basketball Breakdown. Also got Jacob Lane here from the Cardinal Connect, man. It's a pleasure to have you guys in studio with us, man. We're going to take a quick break, take a pause for the cause. When we come back, we're going to talk about who's going to be the MVP at the end of the year. You guys' thoughts on the All-Star selection. What's going on with the Warriors with different players coaching the team. You had Draymond, you had Iggy coaching the other night. Whole lot to get into, man. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with 35KY Sports.